Hey guys, it's Armand with Axon Racing. Today we're installing the Axon controller and motor in the Ultra Bee. Super excited to show you guys how this gets together, how this gets put together. Now the process itself is pretty straightforward. There's not too many connections. We're going to be running cables from the handlebar. We're going to install a new screen. We're going to have to take off this cover up here. We're going to drop the controller and motor. Now typically this takes about an hour. Again, I suggest putting aside more time to have time just in case anything goes wrong. So put aside about 2 hours, don't rush, and let's get started. So what I want to do is I want to start actually at the handlebars, install the new screen, and then we'll go down to the controller. All right, so first thing you want to do is take this off. You're going to say, Armand, what happened to your cover? It's beat up. Well, I ride a lot, and this is a test bike, so it's going to be a lot of dust and dirt you guys are going to see, but it's okay. That's what we're here to do, have fun. So what we're going to do is to take this off to get to access to the connections underneath here and get to the screen. We're going to take this off. There's 4 bolts. So a bolt over here, a bolt over here, and 2 bolts at the top. So if you zoom the camera over here, that bolt is going to come out, and another one on this side is going to come out. So let's go ahead and take that off. That one's out. And then we're going to take the one down here off and here off. So let's get to it. Okay. I took all 4 off. Now what we're going to do is take this cover off. And if yours looks anything like mine, it's going to be a dusty mess. Ignore mine, I've done some modifications to it, but it's going to be straightforward. So what you want to do is first is we're going to go ahead and take this ignition off. So find where this connector is and go ahead and holding the plastic, press this and squeeze it out. You don't want to hang on to the cables because you'll yank the connectors out of the port, so be careful. Now for the ignition, you want to give it a wiggle, and then there's these 2 kind of clips. I'll give you guys a close-up to pop this out because we're going to relocate the ignition. And if you guys have a key, take that off so it's a little easier to take out. My kid put mine on this, a little shark Lego. So let me show you here. See these 2 right here? You're going to press those for it to come out. So we're going to put this to the side and get to the screen next. All right, to get to the screen, we have to take the screen off. There's 2 nuts at the bottom we have to remove on the bottom, so you're going to go ahead and loosen those up. And then when you take it off, the screen's going to come up, but there's a little harness. So what you want to do is you want to reach in there and unclip the harness like so. So the harness is super easy, a bunch of tiny pins, and then there's this rubber housing around it. So you want to take this off. We're going to go ahead and seal this off so water doesn't get in there because we don't need it anymore. But this is the original screen. We're going to take this off and put it to the side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to install the new bracket we gave you to be able to install the ignition system off to the right to install the screen. So the way it's going to sit is this bracket right here where it has the ignition will sit on top, and these 2 holes will sit right over here like so, and that's where your ignition is going to sit. So let's go ahead and do that now. So bolt number 1, you're going to put it through right here so it sits in there, and then you'll have access to it with your Phillips up here, right? So you're going to line it up, put this on the bottom, and then take a nut. Here's the juggling act you have to kind of do. Okay, tighten this one up as well now. And that's not going to go anywhere. Next is we're going to address this connector. Again, this is the old screen's harness. We're not going to use this. I've ridden through water. Again, I don't recommend it to everyone, but I've never had an issue. However, today we're going to go ahead and put some dielectric grease and tape it off just to make sure that it's future proof. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to tuck these wires in. There's 3 cables coming out of it. These 2 are going to remain dormant. We're not going to use them. We're only going to use this blue one with the connector that has a hollow with the pins. So you're going to take it, you're going to slide it through, and then we're going to push the wires off to the side for now until this is fitted. So you want to make sure these 2 bolts at the bottom go right into the hole. Naturally, you want to make sure the screen's the right way horizontally, so it's not upside down. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these nuts and go ahead and tighten it all up. Start with your hand first. Okay. That's tight. And then what you want to do is, I like to go from the left side. Actually, sorry, I like to go from the right side. I take this long cable and I'm going to stick it on the inside of the fork, right? We're going to have it come out here, because what we're going to do is, I already have mine loosened, but you're going to loosen this top one up here, and then you're going to lift this up. You're going to loosen these two nuts over here so this ignition cover comes off, right? So these two right here. You're going to take this and you're going to tuck it in there. And you want to make sure it goes in as much as you can. And then we're going to tighten this at the end because we want to make sure there's no pinched cables. So next we're going to install, after these two are tucked in, so next we're going to install the regen. The regen is pretty straightforward. It has a regen button. You just unscrew it and it clamps on. So you might want to move your console buttons off to the side a little bit, make room for it. And this is kind of personal preference, but if you come around here where my thumb is, so when you're riding, you can adjust where you want this. So some people like it to have a further throw. Some people like it up higher up. I like it right in the middle so it doesn't kind of cause your thumb to go numb. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure you line it up where when you depress the brakes, you're not pressing onto the ignition button. So if the brakes aren't working, you're probably hitting this console buttons. So you want to line it up so you get clearance. You're going to tuck in the wire all the way over here. You're going to go behind the screen, through the fork, and then same thing. You're going to have this wire right here, the triangle piece, right? We're going to take it, we're going to tuck it in. So now we've finished the display, we've finished the regen, we got to put this cover back on. So if you have the version with the street legal version with the turn signals, you're going to find those connectors again and connect them. So now that you've got your screen connected, you have this plugged in hard, you have your regen throttle that's plugged in, you're going to take your ignition back, you're going to slide it through the new ignition hole, and then you're going to find the way it kind of wiggles in and make sure that the ignition's upwards, cool, and clicked in. Just you got to find that, there it is, clicks in. So then you're going to find that old connector and then plug it back in. And we're going to click it in until you hear it click. So if you have the turn signals, you want to make sure you put these two button connectors back in. Green goes to green. Make sure you get it in right. And then you're waiting for it to click. And then blue goes to blue. Make sure you line it up and get that click. Done. And then you want to tuck everything in. Make sure it's all lined up. And then we need to get the bolts to put it back together. So here's where it gets tricky. You're going to put your little cover right here. I call it the pretty cover because it's all it does is just covers up the connectors. It's not functional outside of that. It's just to make it look clean. So you're going to tighten it up. You're going to get the next one. Tighten it up on this side here too. Okay. You're going to take two more and connect the sides. Voila, we're done up here. So now we have our ignition installed, we have the screen installed, we have the regen throttle installed, we have the two wires that are important for the regen and the screen coming down through the ignition. So now we're going to get to work and start taking apart the controller and getting to it to be able to swap it out. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off this back plate. It's 4 bolts. It's 1, 2, this one here and this one here. It's all going to come out. So I tuck in the wire out of the way so I'm not pinching it. I take the data cable, I push it off to the side, and these are the 2 new connectors that we installed today. So let's go ahead and remove these. So it's going to slide down and then out. You want to be careful not to yank on it. You just want it off to the side right here. Okay? So now what you're going to do is take off the controller. There's 6 bolts to remove the controller. There's 1, 2 on the other side over here, and then 2 down here. So we're going to take all those off right now. So as the controller comes out, you want to pull it out. Now I've already removed the motor connector, but I'm going to show you how it looks. So I'm going to leave it out like this. Let me go ahead and show you guys how this would look. So what you're going to do is the Sur-Ron motor has these orange connectors. You're going to lift them up, and then you're going to remove the 3 connectors off the harness. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Shit. And then we're going to get to the power cable. So we're going to lift it up, and then we're going to screw that off. Same thing with this one here. Let's get that done. So what you're going to do is, now you're going to take these off. And you're going to take this off. Mine's a little wet because I was doing some cleaning, but it's okay. So once you take these off, the next connector to take off is the motor hall sensor. So I've already taken mine off, and you're going to see it's this one right here. I just want to show you guys what it looks like. So this connector off your motor is going to just come off of this. Make sure, again, you don't yank on the wires. You press down on the clip and pull off the clip, right? So what you want to do next is there's only 2 connectors left that you have to take apart. And you'll see it's these 2 chunky cables. Okay, same thing. You're going to push it, hold, pull apart. Push. Where's that push button? It's this side. And pull. And that's it. The controller comes out. So now we have our controller out. We're going to install the new controller. All right, we've supplied you with the harness. We're going to take these 2 connectors, the long piece and the short piece, and connect them right here. Until you hear a click. Click. And you want to make sure that you don't pull on the wires. Cool. The next thing is this orange cable is going to tap into the positive side, but once it's on the battery's harness, so we're going to take this off here. So very important, you want to make sure you're not putting the wrong connectors on. You have the positive and the negative. Red is always positive. You'll see on the controller the positives here. So you get the red one, unfolded of course. You're going to line it up like so. And then you're going to take this connector here. So then you're going to put this here and go ahead and tighten it with your hand. Then you're going to get the other one, which is the black cable. And push this off to the side. And then you're going to plug this one in here on the negative port. Might have to get pretty close to the bike to do it. So now we've put the 2 power cables on. We've attached the piggyback for the harness system. What you're going to do is you're going to connect these 2 again, right? So you want to make sure it's connected. Then you're going to have these 2 wires that go back into the original harness system and 2 new connectors. This is going to go into the display. This is going to go into the regen throttle. So I like to always plug in these two first. So you come around from the bottom. And then you're going to line it up. And then you're going to push it until it clicks. Just like that. And then same thing with the other one. Click, just like that. So now we're going to connect the screen. So if you remember, we took this off, we pushed it to the side, we ran the blue screen connector, and then we ran the white triangle for the regen throttle. We're going to go ahead and tuck it from the bottom. Make sure we're not working or yanking any wires so it's not crossing over anything, and then we're going to go ahead and click them in place. So the best way to do it is look for the two arrows. They line up, click into place. Same thing with this one. Clicks right into place, and you want to hear it click like that. And we're done with the connectors, and we're going to put the back plate back on and the controller back on.
Okay, so here is the back of your battery plate. On the back side of it, you have these pretty small harness that comes out here. This big black connector, and then you have a big gray connector here. And then you also have this tiny little black connector, and this tiny little black connector goes to your 12-volt supply right on the back of your battery plate. You want to unhook that, and then on your new Axon controller harness, there's this tiny little new black connector here. It's got a green and red wire, and you're going to plug that 12-volt connector into your new connector on your new harness. And this is now supplying power to your display instead of your OEM 12-volt pack.
Cool. So on mine I have a different motor, but for you guys I'm going to show you how it works. So if, on the stock controller, you'll see 3 wires, different lengths. We don't care about the lengths, we're looking for the color. Blue, green, yellow. The orientation is blue on the left side, so blue goes here, green goes here, like such, yellow goes here, like such. And they'll just be clicked into place, like so. Right? So blue, green, yellow. Then, the motor connector, you're going to say, well, where the heck does this go? We gave you an adapter, I'm going to show you what it looks like. And essentially it's going to connect directly into the motor controller harness port.
Go.
So we gave you this harness, you're going to look for it in your box. You're going to go ahead and connect it here, like so. You're going to hear the click. And you're going to take this and click it in right over here. Whatever wants to click in, there. And now your motor's controlled, controller's connected. Of course, these are plugged in as well. And you're done with your motor?
Yeah.
All right, so supplied with the controller is these 2 brackets, right? You're gonna notice the bracket has the long corner and then the short corner with the slight hump. The short corner goes onto the frame with the slight hump on the top. So the bottom piece should be flat, and the little hump or the taper needs to go to the top part. And then when you do that, this lines up and screws on. Same thing for the other side. So we're gonna put those on loosely. Now that you've got the controller installed, you have the bracket installed on this side, bracket installed on that side. I like to pull the controller out further. And the reason for that is when I tighten it up, it's gonna create a little bit more space on the inside to prevent wires pinching. Depending on the fork you have and fender, you just wanna make sure you have enough clearance. With this, we have plenty, so we're fine. So we're gonna pull it out and tighten it up.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull the controller out again, put a little pressure. Same up here. So then we're going to come over here and tighten up the frame. So look, we have the controller installed. We want to have the orange power cable out to the side, the CAN bus connector out to the side, and you want to make sure you run it from the top. This should still be loose, so you have it from the top. You're going to take this right here, and then you're going to look around to make sure nothing's being pinched, nothing on the outside, all the wires are in properly. And then you're going to go ahead and tuck these in and find a place to push them in so they're out of the way and not being pinched. That's out of the way, that's out of the way. And this goes up. What is this right here? This needs to go up as well. And then we have contact. So we're ready to install the backplate back on. Cool. And then the bottom two as well. Just do a quick look, make sure nothing's being pressed. And you're just pressing up against the wires, that's fine, but not any harness into the frame. Nothing looks dangerous. Everything looks good. Cool. And tighten up these bottom pieces. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this piece, you're going to tuck it there, off to the side, and your battery goes right back in, and we're going to put this back on too. So let's go ahead and do that now. As I put the ignition cover back on, I have the top bolt on. What I want to do is I want to make sure these are off to the sides, right? And I'm going to go to the right with the handlebar, make sure nothing's being yanked. To the left, nothing's being yanked. So then I have a good amount of length on this. I'll tighten this up. And then now we have to tighten up the two over here. And one more on that side. And the last one behind this little door shock. Cool. So now we want that tucked in. And then let's get our battery and plug it in.
Go.
So put your key in there, and if you did everything right, your screen will turn on. Alright, now that you've installed the controller, the screen, everything's put together, you want to look through it, make sure that the wires are good. There's no slack, there's no yanking of the cables. You know that's done. It's time to set up the app. So download the app. It's called the Axon app, of course, and then it's going to run you through the motor calibration and then the throttle calibration. It's pretty self-explanatory. Once you hit start, the motor will spin up. It'll calibrate the motor, make sure it's off the ground. If you have a stand like this, run one. If not, just have a buddy lift it off the ground. It's going to rev up really high. Once it's done that, you're able to go through the app, adjust the power outputs for the 3 different modes, adjust your reverse speed, endless amount of options. So we're complete, we're done. Congratulations, you're ready to ride your bike.